Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another banger. Today we're going to be doing a Yanagi how-to guide covering our playstyle, drive discs, talents, mindscapes, and best teams. I aim to start this new series with the intention of helping players with a quick and easy to understand guide that leaves the stress of character building behind. Because I know sometimes it can get pretty difficult with all the intricate needs of a character, but hopefully this guide is going to be your one-stop shop to build your characters. So enough yapping, let's get right to the guide.
I'm not really in the mood to deal with you right now, but you're asking for it.
Yanagi is an on-field main DPS carry that synergizes well with other anomaly units. She has a lot of nuances to her, especially having two stances, but I'll help you break down each stance and what you gain from each stance. To start breaking down her kit, the two stances that Yanagi has are Jogen, which is a blue indicator on the top left, and Kagen, which is the orange indicator. You can pretty easily tell which stance you're in just off the color of her hair and her shoulder piece. If you're in the Jugen state, it'll be blue, and if you are in the Kagen state, it'll be orange. Uh, for the rest of the video, I'll just refer to them as the blue and orange states, just to make it a tad bit simpler. Both of these stances offer their unique buffs. The blue stance increases her electro damage and provides a small interruption boost on her basic attacks, letting her string her attacks longer, and on the other hand, the orange stance increases her pen ratio and increases the interruption of her basic attacks, letting her stun the enemies a lot better. She can also move freely between these states by simply tapping her skill. Keep in mind that these buffs only last 8 seconds, so it's very important to be remembering when to swap to your stance and when your buffs are still applied. The next thing to know is that you can do 3, 4, or 5 normal attacks, use your skill, and this will put Yanagi in the Swift Routen state, which basically means your slashes are sped up, your stance changes, and your Yanagi immediately follows up with the third attack from the 5-string combo. Now for the more complicated part of her kit. When you hold your skill, Yanagi will thrust forward and then come crashing down, dealing electro damage, and when she does that initial thrust, she 1. Switches stances, and 2. Enters the Shinra Bansho state lasting for 15 seconds. This means that after every 5th hit of the basic attack, the next one will begin from the 3rd basic attack from that string. After the thrust, she will strike down the enemy downward, and if the enemy is suffering from any anomaly via Yanagi herself or anyone else, she will trigger the special order disorder effect, Polarity Disorder, dealing 15% of the original damage on top of 2,750% of Yanagi's anomaly proficiency. This special disorder will also not remove the original anomaly on the enemy. So, the TLDR of a rotation is you want to hold her skill, do basic attacks, which will now be infused with Electro, tap your skill whenever you need to re-up your buffs, which of course is 8 seconds, and swap to other characters, pop ultimates as needed. Lastly, her ultimate also triggers the Polarity Disorder. This will also not remove the target's initial anomaly state, and again it deals the 15% damage on top of the 2,750 anomaly proficiency from Yanagi. Next, for her disc drives, there's 2 ways to play Yanagi, a Disorder team or a Shock team. On either teams, the 4-piece Chaos Jazz, 2-piece Freedom Blues will be your go-to option. However, if you don't have a Chaos Jazz set, Thundering Metal works fine, however you will be losing out on a bit of damage. For her stats, you're going to want number 1 is HP, 2 is attack, 3 is defense. For slot 4, you want Anomaly Proficiency, since that is what she scales off for most of her damage and disorders. For slot 5, you want Electro Damage, percent, or Pen Ratio percent. This will depend on what team, however both will have the same or near the same performance. And for slot 6, you want Anomaly Mastery. With a focus on subsets, you want Anomaly Proficiency is your most important, Attack percent, followed by Flat Attack, followed by Pen Ratio. For Yanagi's W engines, Time Weaver is her best in slot. It increases her anomaly proficiency and gives great buffs to her specifically. Her second best in slot, Fusion Compiler, is another 5-star. This might be a little bit harder for some of us to get, so a good 4-star option is Electro Lip Gloss. It can be found in the Battle Pass. And again, if you don't own the Battle Pass or have ever bought a Battle Pass, Weeping Gemini and Rainforest Gourmet will be your go-to options. For teams, there's two main teams I want to talk about, a free-to-play team and a premium team. I know some of us can afford the premium units, or maybe we lose on our 50-50s, so I wanted to provide both teams and like kind of tell you who you can slot in, slot out, maybe if you do have a certain character. So for Yanagi's free-to-play team, I would recommend Yanagi, Anbi, or Seth. Basically a mono Electro team. Seth can buff Yanagi with anomaly proficiency, and Ambi will basically serve as your stun. And since you're running 3 Electros, your shocks are going to proc a lot more, letting Yanagi also proc more of her own disorders and the shock disorder. For the second team, I would do Yanagi, Caesar, and Bernice. This is the premium team. This team is going to clear all of your content just because so many anomaly disorders are going to be proccing. Yanagi's is going to be proccing. Caesar's going to be buffing. She's going to be shielding. And it's kind of really hard to replace anyone on this team. But that is the premium team. Some other characters you can throw on the free-to-play team if you have a couple other ones is Rena. She's a really good support. You can maybe replace her for Seth or Ambi. Ben could be a good one. He's a good tank. And a third option, Lucy. She can buff everyone's attack. Just a really good solid support. Now, if you do plan on going for some of her dupes, her Mindscape 1 grants you 1 stack of clarity that lasts 15 seconds and stacks up to 3 times. Each time you're hit by an enemy, Yanagi consumes 1 stack, giving her invulnerability for 1 second. And when she has 1 stack or more, her anomaly proficiency increases by 80. For her M2, whenever you hold her skill, the thrust attack will have a bonus 20% electric anomaly buildup rate, and you can do up to 2 more thrusts, each gaining 15% more damage. When you're out of energy or you let go of the skill, you'll proceed with a downward attack, which will increase the multiplier from 15% to 20% on polarity disorders. Her M3 and M5 give basic attacks, dodge, assist, special attack, and chain attacks, plus 2 levels. Her M4 will leave enemies exposed, which gives them 16% increased pen ratio when Yanagi herself inflicts attribute anomaly damage on an enemy. Finally, her M6, after she does the thrust attack with her hold skill, the Shinra Bancho state increases from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. And while this state is active, her EX special attack, her skill damage, increases by 20%. The polarity disorders and outstanding adaptability can be triggered up to 4 times, and the energy cost for the 4 additional thrusts attack is halved. Now, for my personal feelings on her, I think she's a really strong DPS. If you don't have a DPS, or maybe you need a second DPS, I would definitely try and pull for Yanagi. She does insane damage. Her playstyle is a little bit difficult to learn, but it's fun. It's a very fun playstyle. You won't get bored of it, and just learning and mastering it will definitely feel really, really good long term. If she's going to be a third DPS, if maybe you already have Jane Doe, Ju Yuan, or Ellen Zhou, I maybe wouldn't pull for her just because I think you should invest in a support instead. But again, it is your account. Do whatever you wish with it. But again, I do think she is very, very strong. If I had to give her a score from 1 to 5 ho-hos, I think she'd get a 4.5. So yeah, I mean, very solid character. And I'll end off this video with some gameplay of her, just like in the little training area. But again, thank you everyone for watching and sticking by. I kept this short and sweet, just like I said I would. How to Yanagi guide. I'll try and post more in the future for more characters and whatnot. But again, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day, and trolls, don't get blocked.
Secure the perimeter. On the road. stupid shall pay.